Sound. She's going live.
All right, everybody. We are. Wait, is that Vince and Liz? Oh my gosh. Okay, happy to see you guys. All right, everybody. Excited on this beautiful Monday morning.
YouTube's gonna think that we are completely disorganized.
We are not disorganized. We are not. Okay, let me just say welcome, everybody, to this sort of end-year A World Away read-along. Boy, what a year it has been for us reading this fanfic, emotional roller coaster, etc., etc., etc. But also having had so much fun just sharing this with you guys and hearing you guys' take on it has been a blast. So, yeah.
Last stream for this year on this channel.
And on the other one as well. Yeah, on the other one, we had our last stream on Thursday. So, yeah, Happy New Year, everybody, preemptively. But I'll probably say it again before we close the stream. So, welcome, gang. Happy to see you. Happy to see Europe, gang, represented here by Vincent. Vince! Darling Vince, how are you? Oh my gosh. It's been a while.
Long time no see, buddy.
Yeah, it has been.
Vince.
But if the times align, it's all right.
Vince, do you want to read?
Sure, I can read.
Okay.
Can happen that in the middle I'm in the 30-second break or something to collect my food, but otherwise, no problem.
Okay, cool. Do you want to read? I'll give you one of my roles. You can have either Dragoner or Aoife.
Let me take a look.
Yes, you'll only have choices between three female roles.
I could take Dragoner if you want Gunther.
Wait, Dragonlore is female? Really?
Dragoner is female, yeah. She's a goddess of time.
Yes, I never clicked to this point.
Or, you could take Gunther, and then Fergie can take Dragoner.
Which one are we even reading?
It's 82 and 83. Well, he gets sorted out. We'll figure it out right before we read, I guess. Think about it. Just want to say...
Where's Dragonlore?
Just want to say welcome to the early gang. By the way, I see Yukihime is listed as the first one. However, I do remember Akihana was earlier, and for some reason, again, YouTube always deletes very, very early comments, which is why I don't like to schedule these too far in advance, but anyway, it is what it is now. Still, Yukihime says, hello everyone, I don't know why, but I am more available at 3 a.m. rather than this considered 9 p.m. I know, Yukihime is part of the Europe gang, so this should be an okay time for her, but apparently she is traveling, so safe travels, and hope you get home safely, and enjoy the rest of your holidays as well. Also, I do remember we had Teal. Teal was there early, and I like the comment. I just forgot what it said. Teal, do you happen to
Should I read it? It's still on my chat.
Really? What does it say?
It says, hello, future Teal. It's me, past Teal. I hope you're doing well. I'm sorry I didn't get to bed as early as you probably wanted. But don't be too grumpy. You're the me who gets to read A World Away. Lucky you.
I love it. Yay, that was a cute one. And thank you for joining us. I know you had a lot of stuff going on, and so yeah, thank you, Teal. We were talking about it.
Hooray
earlier.
for past Teal.
Yeah, so hooray for past Teal and for future Teal and present Teal, for all the Teals. By the way, Teal, thank you for highlighting chapter 82. Even with the late notice that I gave you, because I did have to edit it a little bit before before the final version that we could read aloud, so had to edit that a little. But yeah,
I did highlight the original just in case. I'm glad we didn't need it.
You guys are gonna read it if you guys are gonna read it, but just not with me. Okay.
It's quite fantastic.
So also, we had on early gang or present gang or whatever. Blockshot is here. Says good morning, afternoon, evening, night to all of you here at the chat and live on Discord. Hello, how are you? I'm glad that we're able to do it at a okay time for you. I know, always a delight to see Europe gang represented with Vincent and of course Blockshot, who always is. You know what I like about his comments? he always puts like songs. Like I know I have a playlist for A World Away. It's mostly instrumentals and stuff, whatever. But he likes to put like more pop music. So yeah, share away whatever songs you want. And I hope, or maybe, this chapters will have you thinking up of new songs for this. And we also have Fergie. Hey Fergie! Thank you for joining us. And I love your PFP. It's still Christmassy and it's still so cute. Happy to see you here. So let's see. Vincent, it is now time to decide. Are you going to take Gunther or are you going to take Dragoner? Did Vince go and get his food? This is a 30-second thing.
Yeah.
I think he just did.
All right.
Well,
Well, then let's just do a short TLDR while Vincent gets back here.
I'm back.
Oh, there he is. He's back. Vincent, have you decided? Have you decided what you're gonna read? Gunther or Dragoner?
I now have my food and my ice cream, so I'm fine with either.
Oh my God! Can you just decide? All right, Fergie, what do you want to read more,
Make a choice,
Dragoner or
man.
Gunther? I mean, what do you want to read more, Fergie? Gunther or Dragoner?
I would prefer to listen to Vincent's Gunther voice.
Okay. All right, Vincent. It has
Okay.
been decided. It has been decided. Let it be so. Vincent will be
You
Gunther.
have been voluntold.
Uh-huh.
Ah,
And Fergie can be Dragoner. And I do believe, Fergie, you have read Dragoner before in the other read-alongs.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay. All right. Yes. I love this consistency. All right, you guys. So, short TLDR of what's been happening in this weave. So, kind of have to be like a little bit broader this time around. Sorry, you guys, if it gets a little long because we're going to deal in chapter 83 with behind the scenes actions. You'll see why. So, there's a weave where Myne did not become Rozemyne. And in this weave, she became the concubine of some noble, in this case, Eckhart. They grew to love each other, except that now Jürgen Schmidt is falling apart and Ferdinand, being like the only person that has a Gudrishite and various other reasons, he now has to go to the sovereignty and deal with other stuff and to prevent the collapse of Jürgen Schmidt. Because he's gonna
Go
leave.
figure. The woman who saved the country in canon isn't there to save the country.
Yeah, exactly. It presents a huge problem. So he's going to go to sovereignty, supposedly to become the head of the temple there, but mostly because he will be able to have access to like stuff in the Royal Academy and just easily transfer stuff to like deal with royalties issues there. Anyway, he goes, but Eckhart, of course, has to go with him. So the two lovebirds will have to be separated. So they're now going to separate at last. What else? What else is he? Okay. Meanwhile, in the behind the scenes, I guess this whole weave came about because when Rozemyne went back in the past in the Hannelor spin-off, if you guys will remember, there was one instance where she needed to save Ferdinand from dying. This is just an instance that I made up, okay? And it required her to break through and kind of like damage the weave because by that time she had already been born, so there was no way that two Mynes or two Rozemynes could be in the same timeline. So because she broke through regardless, she damaged the weave and now she has to go back and fix it. That's the main overarching story. This is it. Okay. All right. So in this chapters, chapter 82 and 83, we're going to deal with more stuff that's happening. Is there any other key element that I need to say, like I forgot to say about the previous chapters? No? Yes? All right. Okay. Cool. I think that covered it up pretty well. I'm trying not to give off too many spoilers because there's a little bit of spoilers and stuff coming up ahead. So, I mean, stuff that... Yeah, anyway. All right, let's do this. Today reading, we have... Teal will be read by Myne. All right, sorry. Teal will be reading Myne and Ventuchti. Patrick will be reading Eckhart and Chaosopher, as he would, of course. JC Fergie will be reading Dragoner. And then Vincent is going to be reading Gunther. And I shall be reading Aoife, or Effa, whichever way you want to say it. All right, so yeah, we're going to have the appearance of Gunther and Aoife. How is that going to work out? Or how does that work?
I don't know why you guys expected me to read Chaosopher. It's not like I'm chaotic or anything.
Yeah. What was that, Vincent?
I said, I'm honored that you are my wife.
What a dependable husband we have here. All right, let's do this. Chapter 82. All right. Chapter 82. Goodbye. Myne and Eckhart point of views. Summary. On the eve of the departure, Myne says goodbye to those she loves. Myne blinked awake at the sound of her name to see Eckhart standing next to their bed, his glittering blue eyes fixed on her as he held open the heavy curtains that shielded her from the light of the moon and the nighttime cold.
Eckhart?
She said, sitting up and extending a hand toward him.
You're finally here. Come to bed. It's late.
Indeed, it was late. She had anxiously waited, staying up until the late hours before yielding to her attendant's pleas to rest, and both the stillness in the air and the ethereal moonlight streaming through the window indicated the dead of night, a time when few souls were awake. Eckhart didn't join her in bed, though. In fact, he was still fully dressed, as if he was only there in passing, or as if he had just entered her window like a forbidden nighttime lover from a fever dream, ready to seduce and ravish her before vanishing once more into the shadows of the night.
Dreaming. I must be dreaming.
Myne often had vivid dreams, some so realistic and frightening that she woke covered in sweat with her heart pounding. Yet if this was a dream, as she was more than willing to believe it was, the sight of Eckhart's silent figure against the moonlit room wasn't frightening at all. She sensed a weariness in his slumped shoulders, born from the mental and physical fatigue, that urged her to comfort and seek comfort in his embrace after the day's emotional turmoil. She wanted to hold him and for him to hold her back. She longed for him to kiss her and make her forget everything outside of their own private world. She wanted to dispel the lingering chill of the winter night and burn with him until dawn stole him away. But things hardly ever happen the way we want them in a dream. Instead of embracing her, he helped her out of bed.
Come, put on something warm.
He finally said, offering her a robe for her to step into.
Someone is waiting for you downstairs.
Oh,
Myne said, slipping into her slippers without questioning the absurdity of his request.
all right.
It was a dream after all. Surprise nighttime meetings in the noble world were practically unheard of. All she could do was wonder where this dream would lead to. Dream Eckhart extended his hand in a gesture that felt too formal for what she was used to with him, but she nevertheless placed her hand in his and let him whisk her out of their bedroom to meet their guest, even though she was shamelessly wearing only her nightgown with not a single stitch underneath it and only a warm robe to cover her scandalous state of undress. The same otherworldly bright moon from earlier lit the three-story foyer, and they swept down the curved staircase without a moment's pause and without exchanging a single word. As expected, there was no one in the darkened corridors, and the only sound she could hear was their muffled footsteps on the carpet beneath their feet. She knew her way around her house very well, but tonight, either due to the impending departure or the absence of her personal belongings, which Fran and the others had already packed and sent to the Linkbrook estate, the shadow seemed unfamiliar, casting an alien atmosphere around her. A slight shiver ran through her, and it wasn't because of the cold. Dream Eckhart turned her way.
Are you all right?
Myne noticed the anxiety etched across his face and the furrow between his brows. Not wanting to burden him further, even if they were in a dream, she smiled up at him reassuringly.
I am fine.
Dream Eckhart offered a smile as they proceeded in silence, although he slowed his pace considerably. Probably remembered that she was an abysmally slow walker. Coming to a stop in front of a familiar set of double doors, he opened them, ushering her inside the solarium. The sight within took Myne's breath away. The solarium unfolded like a forgotten dream, bathed in the silvery glow of the full moon shining down from above a cloudless sky, and every plant, blade, and flower within it gleamed as if under the influence of some magic spell. As she looked closer, she noticed that it was the result of not just the bright moonlight, but Glock. Sorry, Vincent. Glockenlichts, tiny bell-like luminescent blooms, adorning every corner like fairy lights. The warmth of the temperature-controlled room and the aroma of greenery and flowers greeted Myne, wrapping her up in the otherworldly atmosphere and making her wonder when was the last time she'd felt so bewitched by a dream. But no sooner had she stepped into the room that a familiar figure emerged from the shadows and stepped into the center of the room. A gasp escaped her lips.
Dad!
Myne's eyes widened in disbelief, and she turned to look at Eckhart, seizing upon his arm.
Go on.
He urged softly.
Once you're living with my mother, you might still get to see Thule, but not them, right?
Myne nodded, and when she turned back and saw Aoife as well, she couldn't contain her excitement. With arms outstretched, she rushed toward her parents, joy radiating from her.
Mom! Dad!
Myne! Their voices echoed in unison as they wrapped her in a tight embrace. Overwhelmed with emotion, she felt the warmth and familiarity of her parents' arms around her, and a wave of realization hit her. This couldn't be a dream. The sensations, the scent, and the comforting presence of her parents were too real. These were precious things that could not be replicated, even in the most vivid of dreams.
Oh, how I needed to see you!
Myne whispered amid her tears. A mix of joy and relief flooded her heart, causing a tightly wound something inside her to loosen and relax. Even if their time together was brief, she was grateful for this unexpected reunion. Turning back once more, she saw Eckhart slip out of the room, giving them the space they needed to speak freely and without worrying that their words might be heard by an outsider, and a noble at that. Myne's eyes welled up with tears once more. She couldn't comprehend how he had orchestrated the surprise or managed to anticipate her deepest desires. Had he somehow read her mind? After the tumult of the day, she realized belatedly that she would be once more on her own. While she felt that she would be able to get along okay, she had felt a most powerful yearning for home. For her, the gift of seeing her parents once more before their impending separation felt more precious than any jewels or flowers Eckhart could have bestowed upon her.
How are you, Myne?
Her parents inquired, concern etched on their faces.
You never returned with Lord Ferdinand after your last conversation, and your letter never mentioned any plans to meet him again.
Honey, we were so worried for you. Are you okay? You're not sick.
No, I'm not sick. I'm perfectly healthy.
Myne answered.
This Lord Eckhart who summoned us was so stern and serious. I was accepting the worst. Is he dependable? Is he treating you well?
Of course. You truly have nothing to worry about when it comes to him.
Amidst the barrage of questions, Myne laughed and wiped away her tears, assuring them that everything was fine. They gathered and sat around one of the tables in the solarium, basking in the radiant moonlight, as Myne took the time to explain the changes that had unfolded in her life since the last time they had met. And she had oh so naively stated that she'd bring Ferdinand to ask for her hand. Yet, as they talked, she explained her decisions and earnestly reassured her parents that a future with Eckhart was what she truly wanted.
It will take a few years, but once I'm an archnoble and am married to Eckhart, I can bring you over to live with us in a separate building on our estate. No one would bat an eye at that, as I'd be in charge of hiring and overseeing a vast staff to care for our house, family, and business. I'm going to study intensely over the next year to take all my exams at the Royal Academy and pass them. Then after that, we can all live together. Won't that be just wonderful?
I would love to be able to see your little ones grow up, Aoife said with a wistful sigh. And your father will retire from his post of gate commander soon. Camille is dead set on following Lutz's example, and will live with the Plantain Company once he's old enough, so... In other words, it was a near-perfect plan. However, it all hinged on her becoming a noble and a lengthy separation that would begin once they left her house, and she moved to Lady Elvira's in the morning. Yet, knowing what they could hope for on the other side took most of the sting of their separation. They talked about her new life and the direction it was taking. She had to come clean about Ferdinand. She had dreaded it at first, but ultimately, she ended up feeling relieved afterwards when Aoife gave her some perspective, reminding her of the wide gulf between them, not just in status, but life goals and overall circumstances in life. And somehow Myne felt a little better about it all, compared to how she'd been feeling earlier that afternoon. They talked about the future, especially with regard to life with Eckhart going forward. Their parents shared some advice that almost veered into lecturing until Aoife indicated that it was time for them to go and for her to return to bed.
I hate goodbyes.
Myne murmured, giving her mother one more hug. It won't be forever, Aoife said reassuringly, as she caressed her daughter's glossy midnight blue hair. No goodbye ever is when you're bound by love. No matter where you might be, always remember that we're thinking of you. If you ever feel lonely or sad, just know that your mother is thinking of you. You're my baby after
Hey,
all.
hey! I'm also going to be thinking of her. She is my previous daughter, after all.
Gunther added with a pouty look.
And mine, even if you are away, the moment you need us, just summon us, and we will drop whatever we are doing and come for you. Understood?
I will, Dad.
Myne threw her arms around her father, breathing in his familiar scent once more, before letting go. Eckhart stood guard outside the room, his alert posture indicating his readiness to act even though the tool he'd activated earlier would have made it near impossible for any outsider to touch a single glass panel of the solarium without alerting him. Aoife curtsied and thanked him for his thoughtfulness, while Gunther nodded silently along as she did so. When Gunther's eyes met Eckhart's, they nodded to each other in a silent acknowledgement. Myne knew it was pointless to ask what it meant. She was sure that for men of action like her father and Eckhart, there was a form of communication and understanding that eluded her grasp. But at least it seemed to her that her father was not displeased. Myne clung to Aoife until they reached their carriage, whispering reassurances and cherishing the warmth of her mother until the very, very end. The night's chill pierced through her elegant robe, but Myne paid it no mind. After a final hug, kiss, and assurances that all would be well, her parents departed in the stylish carriage Eckhart had prepared. Myne even noticed that Angelica was perched next to the driver, guarding her parents' carriage as they made their way back home. She stared after the carriage, blinking away tears and ignoring the cold until the carriage turned and was out of sight. Myne sighed and then realized that she no longer felt as cold as she'd felt before, and it was because Eckhart stood behind her and he'd wrapped his cloak around her.
Thanks.
She said, turning inside his embrace.
Let's go back in now.
Let's.
he agreed, lifting her and carrying her back inside so her slippered feet wouldn't touch the cold pavement any longer. Myne nestled comfortably against him as they returned to the house. Once inside, he closed the heavy front door behind them with a booted foot.
Eckhart, how did you know? How?
She whispered once he'd ascended the grand spiral staircase leading to their room.
I myself didn't even know I needed to see them one more time.
They entered the room and Eckhart carefully deposited her in bed and leaned over her.
A wild guess?
She snorted.
A guess?
Call it a gut feeling.
He replied, smiling ruefully and looking away almost as if he were embarrassed.
I can't explain it otherwise, but it's something I inherited from my grandfather. Once you meet him, you'll understand, but it hardly ever has led me astray.
Myne smiled, knowing there had to be much more than that, but decided to drop it.
I'm not sure I understand it, but I'll believe you. What's more, I'm thankful for whatever gives you an edge, especially given the nature of your job.
She gave him a lingering kiss on the lips.
Now come. It's cold and late, and you've got an early start tomorrow.
We both do.
Eckhart said, sighing in exhaustion. Myne tried not to think of all she had to do tomorrow, or to remind herself that this was the last night she'd be able to spend in her own home. She didn't want to think of any of those things, so instead she focused on Eckhart. He quickly undressed, discarding his clothes in a disorderly heap for the unfortunate Erminol to sort out the next morning, while Myne looked unabashedly, admiring the planes of his form. Once undressed, he climbed into bed and Myne immediately snuggled close to his body. He pulled her to him so she was literally lying on top of him, as close as they could possibly get.
Don't hate me, but I wish tomorrow never came.
She said in a small, vulnerable voice as Eckhart idly stroked her hair.
I wish it weren't necessary for Ferdinand to go, and you to join him on such a perilous mission. I wish you were a little less honorable, a little more selfish. That way.
Eckhart kissed the crown of her head.
I know, sweet. I know.
Silence hung heavy in the air, until at last Eckhart spoke again, almost as if attempting to dispel the gloomy mood.
Do you remember flying over the expanse of clouds that day we went to the lake?
He asked.
I dream of it sometimes, and of racing through the nights to reach Ehrenfest on time.
Myne assented with a low chuckle, remembering that thrilling ride home.
How could I forget? It was wild and dangerous and exhilarating at the same time.
She paused and then continued in a gentler voice.
It was so you, and I loved it.
Eckhart took her hand in his and looked into her eyes.
And I love...
Myne freed her hand from his loose grasp and covered his lips with urgency.
Don't say it. Please don't say it.
Eckhart felt a little stung, but Myne hastily explained herself.
You see, I promise not to cry. I promise to be strong and see you off with a smile. I want you and Ferdinand to go knowing I'll be all right and I won't fall apart. But if you say those words,
She turned away, blinking back tears.
I won't be able to stop crying. So please, please don't say them.
Eckhart hated the thought of Myne crying by herself after they left, as, according to the spy he'd planted in his mother's house, she'd done in the afternoon. But he respected Myne's resolve.
Understood.
Myne rested her head on his chest once more and was silent. She couldn't speak further because the lump in the back of her throat made any further speech impossible. Instead, she let her silent tears fall on Eckhart's chest while looking out the window at the moon and at the starry night sky beyond. From the bottom of her heart, Myne wished she loved Ferdinand less, or that she actually had come to hate him after all that he'd done to her. That way, she'd never have worried about him going to the sovereignty without his loyal guard knight. Knowing that the two men she loved were leaving her behind, hurt more than she cared to admit, but she decided to keep her pain to herself. After all, letting go was truly the one way she could prove her love, as well as keep it. She lay thus for a long time, listening to the drumming of Eckhart's heartbeat and the sound of his breathing until it evened out and he fell asleep. The poor man, he'd been going non-stop for some time, and Myne worried that once he left, it would only get worse for him. He seemed to be so tired that he didn't notice when she raised a tentative hand to his face and gently traced the lines of it, etching his moonlit visage into her memory, worrying about how he'd fare while he was away, and praying that they might not be separated for too long. Then she finally closed her eyes in sleep.
Good night, my love.
Morning arrived too quickly. Eckhart had dozed a little at first, but had spent most of the night awake. When he opened his eyes once more, he found Myne peacefully asleep beside him, her back turned and her glossy dark hair fanning out across the pillow. Gently caressing a strand, he brought it to his lips for a kiss. Despite the temptation to awaken her for one last moment together before parting, he resisted the urge. She was likely tired, and Myne stirred and turned toward him, her searching eyes looking alert and awake, as if she'd not slept at all, or as if she'd been awake for some time.
Good morn.
He said, but soon Myne's lips were upon his. Her kiss was far from the timid, petal-soft pecks she gave him whenever she initiated. This time her kisses were heated, desperate, and demanding.
You want to go for a ride, Myne?
He asked between kisses, pulling up her nightgown. He kissed her deeply, trying to convey in each kiss and caress all that he felt for her. She seemed to be doing the same because he felt utterly connected to her in mind, spirit, and body. It was hard to believe that at that moment they weren't one single soul, one single strand in Ventushti's tapestry woven by Dragoner. And then the oh-so-reliable Erminold knocked on their door. As always, Eckhart cursed the man in language so colorful that Myne was sure the poor attendant must have felt his ears buzz.
I can't get enough of you,
Eckhart said almost angrily, as if blaming her.
I'm going to die for missing you, wanting you.
You better not die, or I'll never forgive you.
Myne said threateningly.
I'll drag you back down from the towering staircase myself if necessary.
She gave him one last kiss before placing her palms on his chest and pushing him away firmly.
Now go. Duty and honor call. I can't see you off at the castle, but just know that I'll be praying for all of your safety every day. And don't forget to write. I mean it.
Right.
Eckhart sighed, untangling himself from the bedsheets. Reaching toward her, his ring began shining with green light, but Myne placed her hand over it.
No healing this time. I want them to remind me of you for as long as possible.
Eckhart's gaze traveled down the length of her body, and he took every mark of Geduld he'd imprinted on it. On her neck, shoulders, breasts, belly, and even her thighs. She was his, and she seemed to glory in the fact. He gave her a predatory smile and leaned toward her, intending on giving her a couple more such marks. Erminold and the others be damned. But then he checked himself.
No, duty first.
He stepped back abruptly.
I'm gonna go now, before I...
But in spite of his words, he knew it was too late, and he cursed once again as he glanced down. Myne's eyes widened as she saw the state he was in and she threw back her head, howling with laughter.
You'll pay for this.
He muttered as he threw on his robe, resigning himself to the fact that he'd likely give Erminold an eyeful. Great.
Just wait till I get my hands on you when we meet again.
Myne couldn't speak from laughing. All she could do was wipe the tears from the corners of her eyes as he huffed away in mock outrage. In spite of everything, Erminold bathed and dressed him with his usual proficiency, and soon enough Eckhart was ready to face the day of his departure. Before leaving the room, he peeked inside the curtained bed to say goodbye as he always did, and saw that Myne had fallen asleep, clinging tightly to his pillow. He would have liked to say a proper goodbye, and taken with him one more kiss for the road. But maybe it was for the best that they had parted with laughter rather than with tears. His goddess of flower, his soon-to-be goddess of light. Fittingly so, too. She was the light that had given him hope when he thought he'd never be free of the shadows and the bitterness of the past. How he adored her. Taking a step closer and sitting on the edge of the bed, he caressed her cheek with the back of his fingers and brushed the lock of hair away from her face before he leaned forward and planted a feather-soft kiss on her temple.
I love you,
he whispered, before he went away to proudly serve his master and honor his oath to serve him faithfully. Meanwhile, Myne dreamed on until second bell, when she was woken up by a startling dream. The single, dazzling strand of variegated colors that she'd seen so often in dreams, a strand made up of 2 individual threads, had snapped. End of chapter, end of part.
Sehr schönes Chapter. Sorry, beautiful chapter.
Goodbyes are often beautiful, but painful, and bittersweet.
Bittersweet. There you go.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, we don't get to see Myne. Myne doesn't get to go to the castle and see him off as, everybody else will, because she's not a noble. So it's just the best that they can do. And let's see. So, question: when she woke up and Eckhart told her there's somebody that you need to see, who would you have expected? Would you have expected somebody else? Somebody else?
I honestly was expecting her family.
Okay.
But that may be because I already saw the
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a secret though. The first draft, it was going to be Ferdinand.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. But I was like, what are they gonna do? They're just gonna go around in circles. They're just gonna go around in circles, say the same thing. They were basically going
they'll get in another argument.
Well, they were actually just going to because the first farewell was kind of cold and impersonal. They were trying to be on best behavior. So this one's going to be more like, okay, let's move on from that and kind of come to a truce, maybe apologize because of what happened at Ashutsaria. But I saw you know what? At this point, Myne needs a little bit something more than just that. Yeah, he's important.
Yeah,
but
I personally think it's more fitting that it was her family and not Ferdinand.
Yeah, I'm glad I changed it. I was like, yeah, I actually had written up to a figure emerged from the shadows. I was like, is it Ferdinand? And no, it was Gunther. My head said it's Gunther. I was like, you know what? Yes, it's Gunther. So whatever Muses told me to do it, because up to that point it was I was just thinking Ferdinand, and then up to that point I was like, oh no, it's not Ferdinand.
I wonder why you were thinking Ferdinand.
Yeah, of course. I am the biggest Ferdinand simp in this world, and you guys know it, and I make no secret of it. By the way, Fergie, I thought I heard you were gonna say something earlier.
Nope.
Nope. Okay. All right. So that is the first chapter. We're gonna read a second one. It's gonna be a shorter one. But so far that covers Eckhart and Myne and Fest. The next part, I forget. I think at this point of the story, I don't even know what part I'm in. Like the chapter notes are like, I don't know how many parts this fic will have. I don't understand. Like it just keeps getting longer and longer. So, it's gonna be a total of 9 parts.
Like a certain genre of TV show.
Oh, yeah, the soap operas. By the way, I think I saw a comment there by you, actually. It says, sometimes I wonder if Myne is really a Latina and not Japanese. She has such a scandalous telenovela-inspired fantasies. No, I think every woman at some point has these kinds of fantasies. It transcends nationality. And I think sometimes...
I was just taking a jab at you.
No. I'm just thinking, because I think there's also, a part of Urano, even in the books, that she knows. She's read, romance books and erotica and stuff like that. Because she said it. She mentioned it.
She doesn't really have those urges, though.
But...
Because she's mentioned, sure, she's read that, but she doesn't really have the drive to seek that kind of stuff out.
You know what? I will say this as a fellow community of the Ace community, fellow member of the Ace community. You can read romance, you can read erotica. You don't even have to experience the feelings or whatever. It's just like any other kind of literature. So, I think she read it because she was just hungry for any and all kinds of books. So she knows it exists, and that's kind of like what I leaned into. She knows it exists. She knows that there's fever dreams of the Zorro type, going into the window and at night, or Batman. I think there was also a Batman type that goes in. I don't know, girls have those kind of delusions. I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking for myself, but Teal, you don't have to say. Liz, you don't have to say either. But because you don't have to out yourself like that.
Yes,
but
we're definitely not going to put you on the spot and make you talk about your deepest, darkest fantasies.
Well, I'm pretty ace too. It's kind of one of the things that drew me to this story in the first place. But yeah, fantasizing is free. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, it's just
and for more discussions on fantasies, I would recommend that everybody like and subscribe and follow the Magpie. We're desperately trying to get her up to 1,000 on this channel. She's already reached 7,000 on her other channel, the Chattering Magpie. And if you enjoy our read-alongs, then I'm sure you'll enjoy our discussions. So please follow.
Please do so. Thank you for that timely plug, Patrick. All right.
Yeah.
So let me see some other comments I saw on. Let's see. Fergie mentioned he checked himself before he wrecked himself. Yep. Blockstrut says, now you only need the light when it's burning low. Only miss the sun when it starts to snow. Only know you love him if you let him go. Only know you've been high if you're feeling low. Only hate the road when you're missing home. Only know you love him if you let him go. And you let him go. Ah! Wait!
Yeah.
Who sings that song?
Passenger.
Yeah, thank you.
I was gonna say, this does sound like the lyrics to a song.
Yes. Blockshot is so good at finding songs that go with each one.
That's perfect for this chapter.
Yeah. Actually, for this one, if you guys want to have a nice song, I did choose I forgot what song I choose for this one. It's an indie song though, so it's not let me look for it. I'm looking at the World Away official playlist, and I think for this chapter I had I had Lift Me Up by Marie. Lift Me Up Reimagined. It's such a beautiful artist. I love Marie. And The Way Back Home by Aisha Badru. Pretty cool songs. I would play them, but I can't because I don't want YouTube to mute the channel. It's not even a monetization issue. It's just about muting.
Yes,
videos, so,
YouTube, please do not mute.
Don't mute us. All right. And what else do we have to point out? I think that's all we had to point out, unless anybody else wants to point out anything from the chapter that we need to point out. But I
am amazed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm amazed that there's a god for indoor lighting.
Glocklicht lights. How do you say that again?
That you are missing an N, but what is this god's domain? Is it
lights,
just
bell
indoor?
lights, bell lights. It's supposed to be bell lights. I just looked for the word for bell and lights and just messed around with the spelling and they just smushed them together.
The spelling is accurate, except you're missing an N in the middle, and it literally means bell light. But I was just besides that is where I got for indoor lighting. It's
okay.
I found it funny.
Nice. Okay, so the I was mostly worried
Vince
about
is constantly laughing at our attempts at
I know. My attempt to read the word.
It's just I found the word really interesting because you have like you have the god of love, you have the god of war, you have the god of agriculture, and then you have the god of indoor lighting.
God of indoor lighting.
I know it's not supposed to be, but it's written that way.
Mm-hmm. So Glocklichts. I don't even know how I said it. Probably said it wrong. Here it is, and the lower.
Hey Vince, how about you tell us how it's supposed to be said?
Yeah, Glocklichts. How is it said? It's in slide 2, at the bottom, last line of slide 2.
I mean, how you have read it like?
If you can just read it. I don't want to repeat my
Glockenlicht?
Glockenlichts? Okay.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be Glockenlicht.
Yeah.
Glocken, like Glockenspiel, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I just took out the N, so otherwise it would be Glockenlichts. Okay.
Yeah, but the N, it was the right choice too. I mean, it looks more bookwormish if N is missing, I suppose.
Yes, that is the intent.
From the grammar thing here, the N was needed.
Yeah, I'm thinking in addition to my attempts to learn Japanese, I should probably learn the language of my ancestors. German.
Yeah, we have a beautiful language. We're streaming all the time.
Yes, like Schmetterling and Krankenwagen.
Wow,
yeah.
Such beautiful pronunciation.
Yeah, but you need we are in the internet, so you need to 120 up for pronunciation. It's not Schmetterling, it's Schmetterling.
True.
Krankenwagen.
I mean, he'll pronounce it a lot nicer than that one video that I know Vincent loves.
I took a semester of German in college.
I took French in high school.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I had French at school.
Oh, est-ce que vous
like
parlez
1
le
year.
français?
No, absolutely not.
Aww.
I got a 5 in French.
I took Spanish and promptly forgot most of it.
See, we are
I have
here.
never even learned.
We are here, like absolute talent here at work. Absolute genius here. You got German speakers. We have German bilinguals, French bilinguals, Spanish bilinguals.
I really wouldn't call myself bilingual at all.
Yukihima's here. She's definitely bilingual, if not trilingual. Hey.
Hello, I'm in the airport now, so I can. I just joined to listen in and say hi and see what you're up to.
Well, we just finished reading 82, which is where Myne and Eckhart say goodbye. where she meets his family. No, she meets her family in the solarium. You remember that chapter?
Yes.
Blockshot kind of spelled it the way I guess Vince was trying to tell you to say it.
Where?
In chat.
Oh, to be honest, grammatically correct would be Glockenlichter. Okay.
Listen, I did like a semester of... No, I did just a year of German. Don't ask me.
No, Blockshot posted it.
Yeah, Blockshot, who is a German speaker. There we go. Okay, awesome. And by the way, I wanted to also call attention to one of the other comments that Blockshot put in there is Ferdinand would be the person she thinks she needs, even if it's not true. But her parents are the person she needs and does not know. Yes.
Yes, agree.
So yeah, because I told them, Yukihime, you did not know this little bit of info, but when I started writing this chapter, I had no idea who she was going to meet. Well, I kind of intended it for her to meet Ferdinand in the solarium, but it just changed in my head. I knew that it couldn't be Ferdinand; it had to be somebody more vital to herself. It was her parents.
I personally really enjoyed it when she's talking to Eckhart about it, and she said, "I didn't even know. How did you?"
And how did he know? Well, remember he has some spies planted who will report to him, planted in his mother's house, which is basically really loyal servants who really, really dote on him. So they let him know, like, hey, she started crying like after you guys left. So he's like, yo, like I feel that she needs something. So he's the one that made his gut feeling told him that she probably needed some time.
Decision.
Yeah. His gut feeling told him to do that.
he inherited some of his instincts from our favorite grandpa.
Bunny. Yeah, we don't see Bonifacius too much in this fanfic, unfortunately.
So how often?
Yeah, but I like his presence a lot when you put him in, especially because he was like a lot more serious and stuff. So like Myne was nervous when she met him.
Yeah, Vince, you were gonna say something.
Yeah. How often did you have which kind of last minute changes?
Maybe like 40% of this fanfic is written like kind of like I'm just going off by going as best as I can. I have like various emotional plot points that I want to get to. Basically, the scenes that I planned out that I knew had to happen were the scenes just before the end of a part, so this chapter. But even these scenes, they can go either way. So it might seem like there's a lot of planning, but a lot of times, like 40% of the time, I'm just like, how am I gonna finish this chapter, and what's the new surprise, or what's the twist, or something just randomly comes up to my mind.
I think Fergie is trying to hurry us along. He says he's gonna need to make dinner soon.
Okay, fine. Okay, it's a short chapter, so let's just get into it. Don't worry, Fergie, it's only 2 slides, I believe. Alright, let's do this. Chapter 83, again, reading is... Teal is doing Venturte, Patrick, Chaosopher, Dragoner, Fergie, and I think Teal is doing... Yeah, okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
Chapter 83, Interlude in the God's Realm. Meanwhile, in the distant heights, golden notes, pure and celestial, mark the inexorable passage of time. Decades in the human realm were mere seconds in this plane, and millennia could be reduced to the span of a day if the goddess of time so desired. Yet in all the eons since Dragoner had spun time, mastered it to her bidding, and joined the threads of fate according to each person's destiny, neither she nor any of her kin had ever been faced with the conundrum they had in their hands. The goddesses looked upon the damaged weave with consternation. Venturti, who had proudly woven Dragoner's thread since time immemorial to form the fabric of history, fumed.
What is Myne doing? One of the threads had changed colors. This will be impossible to correct.
Dragoner shook her head.
She was warned about this too.
summon her back.
Bentuchti said impatiently.
We'll have the one who started this mess in the first place deal with it.
Dragoner crossed her arms and shook her head.
You had Liebeskilf bound, remember? And she cannot be released from her confinement yet. Her meddling would no doubt make things worse. Besides, the entire reason we summoned Myne rather than fix this problem ourselves was to prevent the formation of alternative timelines and the collapse of the garden. Have patience. This is the child who has time and time again found solutions no one else could have ever thought of.
A goddess never scoffs, but that did not prevent Bentuchti from wrinkling her nose as she murmured under her breath.
As expected of a child of Chaosifer.
Do not speak that name!
Dragoner hissed in warning.
Too much is at stake for her to show up and make a further mess of this.
But it was too late, for the regular golden notes that ticked time suddenly began ringing out in warning, and a dissonant sound of many notes playing at once heralded the approach of the unfavored one. Unlike the other goddesses who wore the vibrant and colorful weaves from Bentuchti's loom, Chaosifer wore a shawl of deepest black. Her attire, unrelieved by so much as a speck of light or color, was an unsubtle way to show her contempt for the supreme goddess of light. Black from top to bottom, she was an affront to them all, as her stark attire flaunted in their faces the object of her obsession, the god of darkness himself. All who resided in the distant heights reviled her as the unfavored one, yet no one could raise a finger against her, in much the same way as no one could put a definite end to a Wigleb. Chaosifer was conflict and confusion, but she was also the agent of change from which all new things, both good and bad, sprung from. As such, her existence had to be tolerated. Cold as ice, contemptuous and haughty, Chaosifer appeared among them with a sneer of disdain in her black-painted lips. They were all forbidden to speak to this creature, and their hatred for her was unmistakable in the way they looked upon her with scorn. She, however, did not seem to care.
I believe I was summoned. I thank you for the invitation, as I was growing bored and restless at your flailing about here.
She threw at their feet the rope that had been used to tap Liebeskilf.
Oh, and I released her a while ago. Despite everything, I always liked her.
The other two goddesses gasped when they realized that the troublemaker had been let loose while they hadn't been looking. Chaosifer threw her head back in a triumphant laugh, disappearing in a flash, but not without uttering the terrifying words.
Watch what I can do.
They didn't have long to process the ominous words. One golden note was all it took before Myne appeared before them, tear-stained, trembling, and gasping out the words between violent sobs.
Done. It is done. Now take me home. Take me to him.
In her hand, she clutched the mana blade, but the moment she saw that she was grasping it, she dropped it with a cry, as one would a hot coal or a venomous snake. The mana blade loudly clattered to the floor, leaving the once spotless surface stained crimson with the blood it bore. End of chapter. Notes: a behind the scenes from the goddess's point of view, and a preview of how the story ends. The Chaosifer lore is almost entirely my headcanon, but it is true that she developed a taboo love for the god of darkness.
I was gonna say
What?
that sounded like a lot of new lore
Yeah.
for Chaos.
Yeah. There's not a lot
What?
that we know about Chaosifer, so I just made it
Did you
up.
just add that?
What?
Did you just add that?
No. It's been there for a while.
Yeah, then I missed it. I'm going insane at the moment. What?
What?
Girl, what?
Wait, what did you miss? The
No.
chapter or the notes?
No, just the last part, like with mine. I don't know. I guess I didn't see it.
What? You
I
didn't
think
see it?
I think she's talking about the mana blade.
Oh, the mana blade. Uh-huh.
Oh
Well,
my god!
it's...
Don't me. I'm crying. Okay?
Are you okay?
I'm done.
Are you okay?
I'm not.
You're not
I'm
okay.
not okay.
Okay, you guys have to remember Yukihime and Teal here have kept up to date with the story. So there's been some developments that make this development not okay. So, but you'll have to wait and find out. And
I mean, a bloody knife will never be okay. So
yeah, but yeah. Anyway, so
And Myne sobbing the way she is.
And the words that she said, "It is done. Take me to him. Take me home." All right. So Teal says Chekhov's mana blade. So yeah, who knows what just happened, but it's going to happen. We're gonna see it eventually from the human realm point of view.
I can only pray that Ferdinand is all right.
What about Eckhart? I would have thought that you would be hoping that Eckhart is okay. What's up?
Magpie, don't go into details.
No,
There are many possibilities.
It could be anybody that gets stabbed.
So from my point of view, the mind that the gods are talking to, this is Rozemyne from canon.
Yes, this is Rozemyne.
So she wouldn't be that broken up about Eckhart. She would be very broken up about Ferdinand.
But I think she's not broken, and she's not broken enough to have killed him.
And remember, chat, I have not read at all, except for what we've read on stream, the story.
Okay. I think you will enjoy the next couple of chapters. We will see. I can't explain more. But yeah, it could be anybody that's gonna meet the pointy end of the mana blade. So yeah. Blockshirt says, "Myne assassin against her will," or at least what it sounds like at this point. Yes, that's exactly what it sounds like. It's yeah. So with that, I will leave you guys to enjoy with that wonderful chapter. I'll leave you guys to enjoy your new year. By the way, I think we talked about this before we went live with Patrick. He asked if I had already read Hannelore when I wrote this chapter. I confess that I had skimmed through Hannelore because I mostly cared about the Rozemyne subplots, and so I read MTL. When I read this, it was not the beautiful translation that we read in the server. It was just MTL, so I was kind of like struggling there. So after I read Hannelore, I came back to check to make sure it's still kind of in canon with Hannelore stuff. And for the most part, I decided in my head canon that because Liebeskilf was doing all sorts of craziness behind the scenes, and we can see it from poor Hannelore's POV, every man wants to marry her. They're like, okay, Liebeskilf, enough of your messing around. We're gonna tie you up. We're gonna haul you off to some closet. So then they think that they're okay because she's been bound up. But no, because Chaosifer came and she broke her free. And I didn't want to point this out, but I might as well point it out because that's why some people caught feelings, is because Liebeskilf has been freed. So she went and played around with whatever. So it's part of the reason why also a certain new ship was developed in this story. So Myne is possible because of Liebeskilf, who got freed by Chaosifer. Thank you, Chaosifer.
I just imagine Liebeskilf as a petulant child being like, "Oh, you're gonna tie me up, are you? Well, look what I'm gonna do."
Yes. That's exactly what she did.
I really love the Bookworm Pantheon with all the gods and stuff, because they are, if you look from the Bookworm perspective, they're so above you. They can do basically everything, weave timelines and stuff. When you read anything where they come in personally, and it's like a drama or something, like Carl Cypher could be the, I don't know, the uncle who nobody wants to talk with, but it's now present and stuff. It's I really like that.
Yeah. So as Teal says on the chat, says Happy New Year. May Chaosopher leave you all alone in 2025. Yes, we want her to leave us alone. We want Leva's kill to stop messing with our lives, to leave us be. Oh man, yeah. So anyway, I had a whole bunch of fun, you guys. I hope you did too. And that we will see you next week as we resume our twice a week readings. But for this week, no reading on Wednesday. So you can enjoy to your heart's delight your time together with your family. Actually, my dad wants to go to the Rose Parade. So I'm probably going to have to get up at
That sounds fun.
Yeah, I'm going to get up at the crack of dawn to catch the train, to catch another train, to go all the way to wherever it is that they have the Rose Parade. I've never gone. But, you know, my mom doesn't want to go. My sister doesn't want to go. None of the friends want to go with him because nobody wants to go at that hour. So I'm like the only one that's, I was like basically like, well, if no one wants to go, I'll go with you. Turns out no one wants to go. So I'm stuck. And being a magpie of my word, I will end up going. So if I go and I take pictures, I'll share some on my social media.
Yeah, please tell us all about it. I have no idea what it is.
Oh, the Rose Parade. It's a New Year's
No,
parade.
I don't want to know. I want to feel it over the posts.
Okay. I may
No
not go.
explanation beforehand.
I may go, I may not go. If last minute somebody decides to go with him, then yeah, we'll see. The end, it's fairly easy because you take a train. So you drive to the train station. The train station takes you to LA. And then there's another little kind of like shuttle or little metro lane or whatever that's just specifically for Rose Parade viewings. And you can just hang out there until the Rose Parade starts. I don't know. I've never been. I've taken the train many times to go to LA, but never that early. We'll see. All right, but I hope you guys have a wonderful and safe New Year's. Thank you, gang, for reading again. Teal read Myne, Patrick read Eckhart, Fergie read Dragoner, Teal read Bentuchti, Patrick read Chaosopher, Vincent read Gunther, and I read Aoife. And then both Hiremi and Teal highlighted these chapters, so thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
Are you sure that Teal read Myne? Because earlier you said that Myne was going to read Teal.
Yes.
She couldn't make it, unfortunately.
Right.
The whole story is already meta, and so it doesn't matter.
Right. So we'll catch you later, you guys, and thank you for reading with us. See you on Monday again. Bye, gang. Take care.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Yoyo Toshio.
Happy New Year.